With new contracts on the horizon for two of the New York Rangers' most notable stars, could they be making their way out of New York, or will the Rangers find a way to obtain their services? Welcome back to another episode of Rangers Digest. My name is Darius Domingues, and guys, we've noticed that about 80% of you watching our videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. We're just kicking off the channel here and getting started. So if you want to do yourself a favor, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers. That's right. You have not been deceived. There is a lot of speculation going around with contract talks, including Igor Shesterkin and Ryan Lindgren, and it is starting to get pretty interesting amongst the New York Rangers fan base, and we're going to break it down in this video. But let's start with Igor Shesterkin and his run in the playoffs and what he put together. It was pretty special, all right? I mean, he gave everything this playoff run. He was one of their best players. He faced 524 shots in 16 games that the Rangers played. He had a .926 save percentage, which is insane, considering that the Rangers, had a hard time scoring at the end there. And the Rangers outshot in 13 of their 16 games in the playoffs. He never stopped competing, and he was a big reason why the New York Rangers were in their series, their playoffs. He was honestly everything for this team. I mean, yes, they had great performances from other players in the first two rounds, but when it comes down to it, Igor Shesterkin is the backbone of the team, and he willed them to that game 6 of the third round. He was amazing for them this season. And when you ask some of his teammates as well, like Vincent Trocheck, he was asked about him, about consoling Igor Shesterkin after Game 6. He said, I just told him he was our best player and he deserved better. And it's absolutely true. I mean, he was the New York Rangers' best player by far. He held them in games. He was really sturdy the entire time. I mean, this guy was everything for the New York Rangers in this playoff run. Like I said, he was amazing. And I'm glad to see his teammates recognizing that as well. But to move on, this is from Jeff Merrick on Sportsnet. Let's get into the contract talks now, because he's making only $5.6 million right now. Obviously, that contract's coming to an end at the end of next season. He's eligible for an extension starting July 1st of this offseason, so it's going to be a talking point. And Jeff Merrick says, this is on the Jeff Merrick Show, and this is Elliot Friedman. When Carey Price signed that deal, the percentage of the cap was 14%. If you look at 14% now, it's $12 million. And he's been rumored to be asking for $12 million. And that's Igor Shesterkin I'm talking about, of course. He's been rumored to be wanting, or at least his camp, to be wanting $12 million. And again, it's about as much as Carey Price was making at the time. And it might be right for this goaltender, right? I mean, you look at Sergei Bobrovsky, too, what he's done for the Florida Panthers. He makes $10 million. There's some goalies now making $10 million. I thought those days were behind us, but Igor Shesterkin might have earned himself a $10 million contract, or north of $10 million, I should say. He might have earned that, although $12 million would be incredibly steep for the New York Rangers at this point. I mean, Mika Zibanejad, for example, whose jersey's hanging right behind me, he signed until forever. He is signed until forever, so that might be an issue. And then you look at Panarin, who's getting older too, another 2 years on his contract. There's a couple guys who've signed for a long time, so that might be an issue signing a $12 million goaltender, because of course, like, the salary cap's going up, but it's not going up that much where you can still win in this window. It might be just next year for the New York Rangers, where they can really compete, but there's something else, and we'll get to that later in the video, that might hinder them as well. But very interesting here that he might garner $12 million against the cap. And honestly, has he earned it? That's, up for debate, certainly. But I think he is, when you look at other $10 million goalies through the years, he's certainly up there with the best. I mean, his stats, we can run them back here again, certainly show that he is one of the best. So when you take a look at his contract here, like I said, $5.6 million until the end of next season. He's been great every season that he's been signed to this current deal. Obviously, absolutely no complaints. I mean, one of the best bargains for a goaltender in the league based on what he's giving you. And Chris Drury is going to have a lot to think about heading into this offseason, honestly. Do you want an extension now? Do you let him ride out the next season? What if he plays even better next season, right? But I think his number is set at $12 million. It's for the Rangers to say, hey, do we Do we re-sign this player? Do we look at trading him next year? Could he be on his way out of New York just because, you know, you don't have a backup option really for him, but what do you do in that situation really? What do you do? What is the answer? I think the answer is to obviously re-sign him. You want your franchise goaltender, but it's going to get very, very interesting here very quickly. And when you look at his stats, I mean, he has been amazing every year. Like, he's been that guy every year for the New York Rangers. And he's still relatively young. I mean, he's only 28 years of age. And, you know, I'm not saying he's going to get better, right? But if you want to sign him for, you know, till he's 35, for example, right? Get him locked up right now. Get him locked up till he's 35, 36, and get his best years under under the New York Rangers regime here, and get it going, right? Get it going and give yourself another window to win with a goaltender like this, because he's one of the best. And look at the Florida Panthers. They might win a Stanley Cup this year with a $10 million goaltender. So it is absolutely possible. And the Montreal Canadiens almost won with a $10 million goaltender just 3 seasons ago. So it's going to get pretty interesting here in New York Rangers land. And speaking of interesting, there's other talks now of Ryan Lindgren. He's going to need a new contract too. RFA, obviously, he wants a huge pay upgrade. And I saw this. This has been circling around Twitter yesterday. Lindgren's AAV ceiling could be in the mid to high $6 million range, not unlike what Pelech's defense partner Ryan Pulock got in his 8-year deal at $6.2 million as a UFA deal as a 27-year-old defenseman. The only difference is Lindgren is an RFA, so that's going to be very interesting, right? I don't see the Rangers qualifying him. I think they are going to give him a new contract, but on the high end, $6 million. This was floating around Twitter yesterday, and a lot of Rangers fans were saying, heck no, we're not signing this player for that. No way. I thought he was very effective. He's a Warrior, obviously, and he wants to be here as a New York Ranger. So there is something to be said about that. When you take a look here, I mean, he said, I love being here, and this is definitely where I want to be. So he wants to be here. Whether he takes a pay cut to be here or not, that's up to him, really. He is an RFA, so he can't just, like, walk in free agency or anything like that. So it isn't entirely up to him. But for him to, on the high end, to be making $6 million, that is very steep if you're the New York Rangers. And, you know, he has been very good. I mean, if you take a look at his stats, he's not a guy who's going to put up a ton of points for you, but he's still obviously relatively young. He's only going to get better, I think, as he ages and, you know, gets more playoff experience. 20 minutes a night for the New York Rangers. And, yeah, he's a very instrumental piece of the New York Rangers. So let me know what you think in the comments of the contract situation surrounding Ryan Lindgren and Igor Shesterkin. And I mean, will Shesterkin remain a New York Ranger? I think you do have to sign this player. You build your team from the goaltender out, and you figure out the rest of the contracts as you go, although it will be difficult. But let me know what you think, and we'll keep you updated for everything New York Rangers on the channel.